Reach and clear. We got this. 9 bang out. Top kill. Let's get the...
Defend all zones. Hostiles have the bomb. Strike team inbound.
Gunship overhead. We got this.
Pre-order now and get access to the private beta.
This is outrageous!
Wait, what?
This game is not Call of Duty. It's a bunch of sci-fi crap that some idiot smushed together from leftover assets, and it's laggy, and it's buggy, and the art is bad, and I want my fucking campaign!
COD's trying something different this year. It's not really my thing. I can't say that I really like it either, but it's not that bad.
Not that bad? Are you drunk? Blind? Are you high? Have you been smoking too much of the devil's lettuce? I don't know about you, but the game I played wasn't not that bad. It was terrible. It was one of the worst things I've played in my life. Look, I know what I'm doing, okay? I had a 4.2 KD in MW3, I had a 3.9 in Ghost. Black Ops 3, I had a 4.8 KD. Black Ops 4 comes around, can't kill anybody, can't kill a soul. They just eat bullets like crazy and armor pops up and it's terrible. I am amazing at Call of Duty, but this game is just plain. It's so, you know what, you're right. You probably think it's good because you're drunk. Call of Duty is the central pillar of my entire life. I'm gonna get drunk too. I found your stash, I'm good, it's rum, it's terrible.
Maybe you're just bad at COD or bad at adapting.
I shouldn't have to adapt. It's not my job to adapt. The game has to adapt around me because I want something and they need to give it to me. Call of Duty isn't about adapting. It's not about change. Call of Duty is about a realistic military shooting experience that makes me feel like I'm on the front lines of a war. I need to play Call of Duty so that I can train for my really important private security job.
Aren't you a mall cop? How much training could you possibly need?
You wouldn't last 1 minute on the front lines of the food court war when Chick-fil-A runs out of chicken minis and there's only one cashier. You wouldn't make it. The real question is, what are you gonna do about it?
Do about what?
About COD, damn it!
You've lost me, man. I don't understand.
You hate the game just as much as I do. So what are you gonna do to make COD great again?
I'm not doing anything. I can't really change that. The game's pretty much already done, and it's gonna come out pretty much like the beta, so there's really nothing for me to change or do here.
It sounds like the Activision globalist brainwashing team has already got to you. I know they pay YouTubers, but are they paying you too for Twitter influence? Only a shill would like this game, a true guaranteed shill. And this travesty cannot stand. This is unacceptable. I have to get on Reddit right now and let the whole world know about this conspiracy.
A few moments later.
I got banned from Reddit. Hey, if you don't like Call of Duty, have you tried playing Fortnite?
Fortnite is a trash game for children. It's a baby's game and you have to accept that fact. It's got bright colors and balloons and bouncing and it's not even remotely realistic. That's why I play Call of Duty. That's why Call of Duty's a real man's game, because it makes me feel in my heart like I'm a tactical warrior on the front lines of combat against the globalist cabals that use televisions to control our lives. You just don't understand it. I can't practice quick-scoping techniques with a pickaxe hitting trees all day. They have a pizza slicer skin, goddammit!
Okay, so if you really hate Call of Duty, right? And you really want to hurt the Call of Duty devs, right? Maybe we could play Fortnite because it's their biggest competitor, and quitting playing their game and playing the competitor's game would probably hurt them a lot.
I will not play that baby's game, do you hear me? Don't tread on me, I'm standing up for my rights, goddammit, as a customer. I'm gonna go play a real game. I'm gonna play Call of Duty no matter how much I hate it. I'm gonna play it until I'm max prestige. I'm gonna get every item in the game. I'm gonna play it just to show the people that made it how bad of a game it is, goddammit. I've got 14 hours until work in the morning, so let's get to it. And you know what? Just to spite you, I'm gonna eat all of these Doritos. All of these goddamn Doritos. I wanna be max level. I want to be a prestige master! There's no end for the car experience!
Oh, I don't think that works the way you think it does, man. Yeah.
I spent 14 hours playing this game and eating Doritos. I still don't even have all the weapons. I spent my payday loan on COD points. Hey guys, Drifter here. That was the coldest open that I believe I have ever done for a video in my life. That skit was only supposed to be like 30 seconds long, but I just kept having fun with it and going and going and going, and it grew into that. That is how I see angry Call of Duty fans on a daily basis. And there's a lot of anger in the Call of Duty community. Call of Duty fans are outraged at Black Ops 4, and at Black Ops 3, and at World War II, and at Infinite Warfare, and for COD Ghost, and for like everything, at Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 2 they were outraged at. There's just so much anger in the Call of Duty community, and rightfully so, in a sense, surprisingly, because as much as I'm making fun of those people, they've wanted a modern military shooting experience for 5 or 6 years in a row. I just did 7, I don't know what I'm even doing here, for like a long time, for more than half of a decade, and they haven't gotten them. They've got good games and good franchises. They got the Black Ops series. They've got good games from Sledgehammer. They got games from Infinity Ward recently, but they're mad because they haven't gotten the games that they wanted, and that's kind of an important thing. However, there's just, the anger is just so out of proportion to this, and there's some weird behaviors I want to talk about today, because there's just a pure outrage in this community, an overflowing, unabashed hatred of so many things with a desire for direct action, and that's what makes it strange to me. Fans are so angry about Call of Duty games that they feel that the anger must literally be universal, that it must be so obvious to everybody on the planet that we should all recognize this, and we should all be equally outraged, and we should all be motivated to fix or do whatever it is that they want. It's as if Call of Duty has become so bad that it's passed into the universal set of taboos, which if you study sociology or anything like that, you've got universal taboos, things that are bad in basically every culture: rape, murder, incest, and touching dead bodies. Every culture has some taboo about dead bodies. And they're like, we need to add Call of Duty to that list, and just anybody that sees Call of Duty should just freak out now because it's a universal taboo. And not only that, but it's so extreme, we have to do something about it. We have to band together like heroes and fight this evil company or something. Something has to be done. Call of Duty has to be stopped. And you, as a fan, probably see this as basically a lot of shitposting into the void that is Facebook and Twitter and Reddit, or angry YouTube comments, I'm sure, that's just going down like crazy on this video. However, on my end, and obviously on the end of the people that make the game or do anything a little more creative with it, the pro player, an editor, whatever you want to say, I get it as feedback for my channel, or more specifically, advice on how to carry myself in different situations. The expectation is that I also should have this anger, obviously, because it's so universal and so bad that we should all agree, and that I should be so angry to the point where I make some aspect, like, I don't know, armor in Black Ops 4, my hill to die on. That I should pick up that cross and carry it all the way over to the Treyarch Studios and use it as a blunt weapon to beat devs and force them to remake Modern Warfare 3 just the way you wanted it, or die trying, and know that my life that I gave up for that Modern Warfare 3 remake will be remembered, and the sacrifice will be worth it. And it's just so insane. You know, like, literally, obviously, when somebody's this mad and worked up about something, no reaction that I can have, or any person can have, probably not even any reaction that anybody knows that they know in real life can have, will be able to fill that emotional void, which is what I want to talk about next. I know what it's like to be angry. I'm angry all the time. I'm angry at a variety of different things. I know what it's like to feel wronged. I also know what it's like to feel helpless in some situations. Child abuse, look up the old videos on my channel. I know what it's like to be a teenager and have my favorite thing that I enjoyed being ruined by a sequel that's just terrible or changing, or the music is bad or something like that. However, the difference with me, and I think the majority of people make this same decision, I think really it's only a minority of people that get outraged about things, is that they just don't seek out any more of that thing over time. If I don't like something, I don't go seek it out. I don't go seek out garbage, which is what's paradoxical about the Call of Duty community. We're talking subjective taste here, but there are people that hate Call of Duty and think it's like the worst game ever made, okay? These people, I swear to God, are the ones that play it more than anybody else on the planet. And I have no idea why. Just the most negative people you ever see in your life about COD, or if you look at a community member or something, whatever, the most negative people play this game the most, and they play the sweatiest. And you might say, well, they're more passionate, or they play so much and they put in so much more time, they feel these flaws more, and it's more personal and it's more integral to their life, which is a scary thing in and of itself. So it's got to be more painful than them, to them. Well, so what? Why not play a different game? Like, Jesus Christ, if it's so bad, just go play some other game. And that's kind of the point of this video, at least the beginning point. We're about to go off the rails at the end. If you think that beginning was something, you just wait to see where we're going at the end. Like, if you hate something so damn much, just go play a different game. Go do a different thing. And I don't understand the mindset, or we're going to talk about the mindset. I don't fully identify with that mindset, is a better way to say it, of all of these people. Like, there's literally millions of games out there. I can think of 20 good ones off the top of my head that can satisfy any COD fan. And this is something that I do when I get tired of a video game, of a series, of a book, or a book series, or a movie. When I don't like those things anymore, I just go play a different game. For quick examples, I loved League of Legends. I played League of Legends for like 3 or 4 years, and then I got tired of it, so I just played a different game instead of complaining about why League is bad all the time. I fucking loved CW's The Arrow, okay? The first couple seasons of The Arrow on CW were amazing TV. Well, especially given the budget that they just squeeze on those shows. They got a lot of great stuff out of The Arrow. And I promise you I'm not gay, but I swear to God I would let Stephen Amell pick me up and carry me across the threshold after we got gay married in one of those states, because he's the most handsome man on the planet, and the show is fun to watch, but then it became not fun to watch. It just took a left turn into not so great after a while, so I stopped watching it. I love the Ringworld series of books by Larry Niven. They were these old, like, 70s hard sci-fi, and they were intriguing, and they had sociological aspects and fun technology. And I kind of got tired of them because at the end of each book, you would find in the first chapter that the whole last chapter of the last book was actually a lie. So it just kind of undoes any ending or conclusion that you have, and it was really kind of pissing me off. Or simply the movie Tremors. I loved the movie Tremors. It was super fun. The sequel was kind of like a bad B movie, and then everything else just turned to garbage. So I stopped watching it. I don't watch The Arrow. I don't read Ringworld. I don't play League of Legends. I'm just kind of done with those things because I don't like them anymore. I don't get all over the internet and scream at people and demand various things. But backing up about 18 different steps here, what I don't get is that why somebody would subject themselves to torture over and over and over again if they hate something. For example, if I don't like the Transformers movies and I think they're bad, I'm not going to go watch them 15 times just to tell people I've watched them 15 times and complain about how bad they are. That blows my mind in a way. But I think that there's a reason that people do this. And I think, as a guy who has no background in psychology or psychiatry or any sort of anything that I can't just Google up, I think that people have to fulfill some kind of deep subconscious desire, either for self-punishment or to create an artificial conflict. This can go really deep in a lot of ways. There's some people that just feel they need to be punished for various things, so they do that to themselves via media or internet. And in a bigger sense, which we're going to talk about in just a second, I think that there's a lot of people that live in the first world that just don't really have real problems. Your first world problems are that you're not able to buy luxury goods, that your rent is too high, which I guess that's kind of a problem. But it's not like we as a species evolved and grew up hunting and foraging for food and fighting wild animals and just like kind of every day on the edge. And we're pretty damn comfortable here. Our psyches, our brains were created to deal with these sort of extreme stressors and pressures and situations. So in order for us to find some sort of internal emotional balance, we have to have a conflict. We have to have a bad guy and a boogeyman, and we have to have our team and their team, or our brains just don't always work super well. And this is also the number one reason that I think that YouTube and internet fandoms in general get super toxic and crazy over time. In a much broader picture, this same type of outrage has seeped over into our political system. You see it on both ideologies, and I'm just going to stick with America right now because it's nice and simple and easy. On the right-hand side, you see a lot of Trump supporters very clearly, vehemently, overflowing with anger about a dozen different, usually legitimate problems in their life. And the reason that Trump is popular is because he can simply speak to their feelings and emotions and make them feel recognized in ways that other people are not doing this. On the left-hand side, you usually see a lot of identity politics, a lot of constant crisis, endless attack, stealing our blank, crushing some fringe group about something. The eternal struggle carries on, and it leads to shutting down discourse, and every blank is a blank. You see a little bit of that on both sides, but you don't have to watch the TV news or get on Twitter or go to like Our Politics for more than like 3 minutes, and you see a lot of this sort of outrage, the same kind of outrage, maybe not exactly the same behaviors and demands, but literally the exact same type of feeling and thought processes, or thinking with feels, from gaming in our broader political spectrum. And I wanted to say that like this is a new thing, that this has been caused by the internet. The internet is making people evil. The younger generation has a shift in morality, that something that our discourse is dying, or blah 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 blah. But I don't really think that's true. The more I think about it, I just think this is the way a lot of people like to think and behave in general. They got their feels, and they need to do weirder things with their feels to satisfy some caveman desire in their brain to create artificial conflict or anger. And that's just how it is, because thinking back, I think that's exactly how, not everybody, mind you, but a significant group of people have thought and do think, or will think, for thousands of years. And I remember when I was a kid, this is probably the genesis of that idea. I remember when I was a kid, I went to the golf course where my dad played, and they were having a problem with member fees and raising prices and something with the stock. And there's a lot of like old dudes there, a lot of like can barely computer dudes, and a bulletin board, which was their version of discourse, kind of like what our forums would later be based on the internet. And these people got and wrote their own little manifestos about how the country club should be run, demanding various different things. And each one of them would kind of pin this up on the board for visibility, and people would write on it and like tear them down. And I don't know how bulletin boards work. But I remember being a kid and reading these manifestos and seeing them all like sorts of crazy anger comments and all caps here and like blue text there and then red over here. And it was literally the same kind of gobbledygook that you would see in a YouTube comment written by like a 75-year-old man demanding something because he's outraged about it. And I just found that amazing, and I would think back to it some years later when I would be on the internet arguing with people or seeing this type of behavior. I was like, this really isn't anything new. It's just before people couldn't just post all over the internet, that this same type of behavior and communication and thought process has been around since the beginning of time, but the internet just exponentially allows everybody to make themselves very, very visible, so it feels a lot more present. And this is a very dark commentary. I've gone off a lot of different rails here. I'm basically talking from fifis myself and trying to put enough knowledge in it to hold this commentary together. But there is light at the end of this tunnel, and there is hope. And that hope is that... and that beacon of hope is that crazy and angry people... And that beacon of hope is that angry, worked-up people say all sorts of things. This is something you learn when you're 7 years old, that not everybody that says something is going to do that thing. They get mad and they say all sorts of crazy nonsense, but basically none of these people ever act on anything. And I've seen this in person various times throughout my life when somebody came to me with the same kind of outrage that they have, and that I would just say is like a YouTuber or like an angry Twitter comment or something, and expressed that to me in person about something. They have never actually acted on it. And I will add a little asterisk, a little caveat here that, yeah, I know there's some mentally unhinged people, and that, yeah, some people do flip out and get mad and punch others in fights. And, you know, we have
crimes. We have crimes of anger. That's a real thing in the real world, but that's like 0.01% of the times that people actually get angry about it. In my experience, when people express this to me, they never actually did anything. And one of my favorite ways to sort of diffuse a situation, especially if it was a type of outrage I didn't agree with, a troll kind of thing, is I'd sit there and listen patiently, and I would just say, you know what, I agree. And be like, what? I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. Let's go do this right now. That thing that you don't like, the action that you want me to take, let's do it literally right now. And every single time the person was, one, surprised that I cared, and then 2, started to back down, and then 3, started to make excuses about it. I'm just going to pull a few random ones here, and we're going to go way off the banana wagon here at the end, so hang in there. I've had people express to me anger about banks. I have anger about banks and mortgages and how things are held and assets and fees and illegal underhanded stuff. The bank is this, it's a scam that, this is illegal, this Federal Reserve, blah, blah, blah. I just get sick of hearing it. I'm like, all right, you're right, let's go take over a bank. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's go shut down the banks. You're so right. Everybody in the world is going to agree with you. So let's just go break into a bank and take all the money and then burn the building down. We can't get in trouble because everybody agrees the banks are terrible. And they're just like, gears ain't working, not braining. I remember a time in high school when I was talking to a guy. I wouldn't say he was a friend of mine. He was an associate. And he was complaining about somebody else's behavior, oddly. It wasn't even over a girl. It was like this 17-year-old alpha male shit. Like, look at him walking around all bowed up like that, like he owns this school and he's gonna be the big shit of this school, blah blah blah. Somebody ought to knock his little faggoty ass down and put him in place, blah blah blah. And I'm tired of hearing it, so I'm like, dude, you're right, let's do it, let's go get him. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, let's fucking jump him right now. He's right there. And he's like, man, we're in the middle of school. We'll get in trouble. And I'm like, yeah, but you're right. He's so douchey and mean, and he walks around with his chest bowed out. We should just do it, and everybody's going to cheer and give us a parade. And that's when the guy started realizing the sarcasm. He got kind of pissed off about it. But it's that exact same thing that they were outraged about something. In this case, it was something morally awful, but when the time came for them to actually do something about it, there was just an immediate, complete gear shift in their head to just complete pacifism, and I'm like the bad guy or whatever. And the reason for this and these types of behaviors is that while it's frustrating for me to listen to on the internet, or for you to deal with for somebody in your real life, for the vast majority of people, this is a venting exercise. This is simply venting. This is simply getting it off your chest, talking about it. This is their way of calming down, of going through any complicated mental process so they can go about their life like a normal person. And what you got to do is you got to take it with a grain of salt. And man, I eat a whole ton of salt on the internet, but if you start letting this sort of bad feedback, this sort of chaos, this sort of outrage seep into your life, and you take it too seriously and too literally, it'll start skewing your view of the world, and you'll start thinking that everybody is an evil, hateful, violent moron when that's not really the case. And if you think about it, you have probably done some of these things to yourself before in the past. Big or small scale, but it happens to everybody. And in order to not have it darken your world, you just got to let it go and ignore it. Or if you catch yourself doing it a whole lot, just scale back and be mindful of others. It's not the hardest thing to do. And that's the beacon of hope, as I would say, is that there's a lot of nonsense out there. There's a lot of people that talk a lot of big game. There's a lot of people that get angry. Basically, nobody acts on it. They just blowing off steam, and that's all there is to it. And I think that's a lot of what's happening in the COD community, in our political discourse. And a lot of discourse is not any real meat or merit to these things. They're just blowing off steam, and that's all there is to it. Guys, that's all for this video. It's been a crazy long video, but it's been a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. Okay, let me know when you're going. Let me know what a good angle is going to be. Probably here. Boomy!
Okay.
Hey, buddy! Okay, so we're getting ready to film the penultimate scene. Let's do it. Shower me! I feel like I'm in a bed full of roses. Alright, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. Okay, it's recording again.
Hey, buds. We got a treat for you guys. I hope you really like Doritos.
Oh, God. Wow, look at all of the Doritos.
How many do you think went under the couch? Oh wait, do you know something's really gross? White socks on Doritos.
No, don't you. Ah!
Wait, Boomy, Ozzy, lick it off my sock.
No! I fucking swear.
These dogs are gonna be so pumped. Okay, we're good. We should probably stop. You probably think it's good because you're drunk. Call of Duty is the central pillar of my entire life. I'm gonna get drunk too. I found your stash. I'm good. It's rum. It's terrible. It actually was terrible. It was actually really terrible.
It's rum for you.
Oh, that's like awful. That's like that's like drinking the mop bucket at an A&W root beer stand. Like, God, that was a terrible idea. Why did you let me do that?
I don't know.